Well, many years ago, there was this older gentleman that lived up in the hills of foothills of Kentucky, and he lived there with a his grandson who he was raising, and their few possessions, and of course their donkey, which was a very important part of their family. Then the grandpa's name was Charlie, and his grandson's name was Joey, and their donkey's name was Fanny. And one day they were heading down to the town, and so Grandpa gets up there on Fanny, and they start heading down the path, and soon they come across Mildred, and Mildred is a the local expert when it comes to child rearing. She's a social worker, and she looks at them and she's shocked, and she says, "I can't believe you're making that poor little boy walk while you ride on the horse. I should report you to the children's services. You're just a horrible man. I can't believe that. That's child abuse." So they passed her up, and soon Charlie started thinking. He says, "Well, she's got a point." So he went ahead and he got off, and he put Joey onto the horse, and they headed on down. And as they turned the corner, soon they came across a new individual, and that individual happened to be the president of the local chapel of the American Retired Association. And he looked at him and he said, "I can't believe, young man, that you're making your grandpa walk while you ride on that donkey. I just cannot believe it. That's ageism." Well, perplexed, he said, "Well, what'll I do?" And so Joey said, "Well, Grandpa, why don't we both ride on the donkey?" So both of them jumped up there on Fanny, and they went along, and soon they came across yet another person. And this time it was Troy, and Troy was an active member of PETA. And he looked at him, and I was shocked, and he said, "I can't believe the cruelty that you have towards that poor animal, that creature. You're breaking his back." Well, once again, upset and irritated and not knowing what to do, Joey and his grandpa started to think about how they could solve this problem. And finally, they thought it. They went out to the woods, they cut themselves a plank, and they got some rope, and they tied Fanny's feet to the post, and they started to head down there, hoisted up on their shoulders, and they were carrying Fanny. And of course, the hind end, of course, being heavier, the Charlie, the grandpa, went ahead and he grabbed that end, and soon they came onto a bridge. And on that bridge, they had crossed that bridge many, many times, and it was safe. But as they were going across, Fanny was looking at it from a different angle than she'd ever seen that ravine before. She looked down, and she kind of got a little upset, and she started moving back and forth, and all of a sudden they fell into the ravine, and they fell to their death, and they died. Well, folks, it's more than just a story, It's an old story, but there are several things that we can learn. Of course, the first thing I guess you can learn is if you ever find your Fanny upside by next to your head, you probably are in a bad position. But really, there's more to learn than just that. The first thing is, of course, is that if you try to please everybody, you're going to end up pleasing nobody. So you got to make a decision on who's the important people that you need to please, because you're not going to please everybody. So decide who are the important people in my life, because those are the ones, if I'm going to please anybody, that I need to please. Another thing is that you notice there's a lot of experts out there, and it's interesting that a lot of experts are going to give their opinion for free or at a really low cost without really knowing your situation. And, you've got to kind of sift through that. If you keep listening from one person to another person to another person, and they're all experts, oftentimes they're going to disagree, just like in this story. In fact, even if people are supposedly experts in the same field, oftentimes they disagree. So you need to pick out your one or two people you're going to listen to and let them be your mentors and follow whatever they say and do it. And of course, lastly, when we talk about listening to all those experts, if you're constantly changing your mind, you're never making decisions. You keep switching it up, and you lose the consistency and the persistency that you need to be successful. So, folks, as you're moving forward, a couple challenges here. Number one, got to sift through it and find the people that are really important. Number two, you need to make sure that when you find a mentor, you listen to them and do what they say. And then the last thing is, of course, is to be able to make decisions and then take action on those decisions. Folks, to help you with that, I recommend the website www.easysteps123.com. Have a great evening. See you next time.